Good day everyone, my name is Jetler D. Paliharo. For today's video, we're going to make a reflection or how will you understand the Marple Annex 1 to Marple Annex 3. So first is Marple Annex 1. So Marple Annex 1 is the regulation for the prevention of oil pollution by oil. So we have in Marple Annex 1 we have chapter 1 to 7. So chapter 1 is definition and application of exemption. So definition of oil. So the term oil, petroleum, was any petroleum product therein crude oil, oil fuel, mixture, oil tanker, rate of discharge, and tanks. So chapter 2 is surveys and certification. So all ships that is 400 gross ton capacity and above, oil tankers more than equal to 150 gross tonnage are subjected to surveys under Marple Annex 1. What are those surveys? So initial surveys, renewal surveys, intermediate survey, additional survey. So that is the survey and certification. So chapter 3, requirement for machinery, space, and ships. So all ships above the 400 gross tonnage must be equipped a dedicated tank of appropriate size. So these tanks must be capable enough to handle the sludge, oil residue generated during the voyage. So as water separator is the result of Marple 73-78 Annex 1 regulation for the prevention of pollution by oil. So control of oil under Marple Annex 1 regulation. Any non-processed oil or oily mixture is not allowed to discharge overboard. So they're not allowed to discharge overboard. Chapter 4. So chapter 4, requirements for the cargo area of the oil tanker. So there are many structural requirements for the cargo area of an oil tanker. So to be in compliance with the Marple regulation. So these structural features include the wall bottom requirements, segregated ballast tank, intact stability, slap tanks, discharge arrangement, limitation of size, damage assumption, and hypothetical oil flow. So chapter 5, prevention of oil after an accident. So under regulation 37, under Marple Annex 1, all ships above 400 gross tonnage and oil tankers above 150 gross tonnage must have shipboard oil pollution emergency plan. So this is SOPEP. That is what we call SOPEP on board. These emergency plans need to be approved by the concerned authorities and as per the guidelines of Marple regulation. So SOPEP equipment. So these are the absorbent pads, welding pump, oil booms, empty drum, bucket, sawdust, scrapers, gloves, mask, oil cleaning chemical. So chapter 6, reception facilities. So reception facilities are vital in better implementation of Marple regulations. In Chapter 7, special requirements for fixed floating platforms. So in Chapter 7, we have the record keeping, old record book. So the contents of oil record book as per Marple Annex 1, we have part 1, and contents of oil record book as per Marple Annex 1 part 2. So there are two parts in Marple Annex 1, the part 1 and the part 2 old record book. So that is the Marple Annex 1. Next is Marple Annex 2. So Marple Annex 2 is the regulation for the prevention of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. So this came into force on April 6, 1987. So Marple Annex 2, the main principle of Annex 2 is to dilute cargo residues in seawater to prescribe limits depending on their pollution hazard and facilitate the distribution of discharges by utilizing the wake of the ship. So in Marple Annex 2, we have the categorization of noxious liquid substances or NLS. So we have category X, Y, category Y, category Z, and other substances, which is OS. So in category X, so noxious liquid substances which is discharged into the seas from tank cleaning or deballasting operations, so are deemed to present a major hazard to either marine resources or human health. In category Y, noxious liquid substances which, if discharged into the sea from tank cleaning or deballasting operations, are deemed to present a hazard to either marine resources or human health or cause harm to amenities or other legitimate uses of the sea, therefore justify a limitation on the quality and quantity of discharge into the marine environment. So in category Z, noxious liquid substances which, if discharged into the sea from tank cleaning or deballasting operation, are deemed to present a minor hazard to either marine resources or human health and animal. So therefore justify less stringent restriction on the quality and quantity of discharge into the marine environment. So OS. O is considered to present no harm to marine resources, human health, amenities, or other legitimate uses of the sea when discharged to the tank cleaning or deballasting operation. So procedures and arrangement. So we have the cargo record book. So every ship to which Annex 2 shall be provided with a cargo record book. So entries to be in cargo record book is loading of cargo, internal transfer of cargo, unloading of cargo. So that's the entries of record book. So shipboard marine pollution emergency plan. So SMPEP o SMPEP. So every ship of 150 gross tonnage above certified to carry NLS in bulk shall carry on board a SMPEP for noxious liquid substances approved by the administration. So that is the Marple Annex 2 all about. So, Marple Annex 3. So, regulation for the prevention of pollution by harmful substances carried by the sea in the package form. So, entered into force July 1, 1992. So, it contains regulation which include requirements on packaging, marking, labeling, documentation, stowage, and quantity limitation. So in Marple Annex 3, we have the Regulation 1 to 8. So Regulation 1 is application, Regulation 2 is packing, Regulation 3 is marking and labeling, Regulation 4 is documentation, Regulation 5 is stowage, Regulation 6 is quantity limitation, Regulation 7 is exceptions, Regulation 8 is Port State Control on Operational Requirements. So that is the Regulation 1 to 8 under the Marple Annex 3. So harmful substances. So those substances which are identified as marine pollutant in the International Marine Dangerous Code, so or IMDG code. So in IMDG code we have the class 1 to 9. Class 1 is explosives, class 2 is gases, class 3 is flammable liquid, class 4 is flammable solid, class 5 is oxidizing substances and organic peroxide. Class 6 is toxic and infectious substances, radioactive materials. Class 7. Class 8 is corrosive. Class 9 is miscellaneous dangerous goods. So that is the Marple Annex 3. That is Class 9 IMDG code. So that's all. Thank you. I hope you enjoy.